morning. Good morning, Roxanne. Morning. Thank you so much for my brooms. Rookman Gangadine, morning to you. Kennedy Joseph, morning. Cyril Mayas, good morning to you as well. Kennedy Joseph, good morning to you. The Patriot, morning. The Real Raga, morning. Gail Jack, morning to you. Natalie F, morning as well. Kathy Belfon, morning. Alison boys. Alison, why you have broken hearts this morning? What happened? Morning, Carol. Judy Bowen, morning to you. Who is this thing? Debbie D, morning, Donna. Mina Lazare, good morning to you. Pamela O'Connor, morning. Shell Hadara Lambert, good morning to you as well. Charmaine Richardson, Ali Lewis, morning. Coach. Let's see this. Lynette Harris, morning. Let me see if we have here. Istra Blake, morning. Hazel Martin. Hazel Martin, morning. Morning, Maria. Morning, Annette. Let's see. Right, so it's 6:42. Let me get into it because I can't go as long as I normally do this morning. J Dimple 66, morning to you. So the folks will just jump in, I guess. So let me say morning again on this. Today's the 7th day of December 2023. A whole week already basically gone in December. So yeah, we're just 24 days left in 2023. Wow, morning Desmond. How time flies. At one point in time, it seemed as if 2023 was, just taking its time, and then all of a sudden it picked up speed, and before you know it, we will be in 2024. So, Maria is saying audio is low. I don't know what's going on. Let's see this here. Okay, I don't know why that is. That would be so. But Marlon McAllister, morning. Kenneth Gabriel, morning. Denise Coggins, Jennifer Dorset, morning to all of you guys. So yesterday was the funeral of the late Terry Rondon, and of course UNC hypocrisy was on full display as usual. Never a dull moment for them, and never they never pass up the opportunity to display that hypocrisy. So I tuned into the funeral yesterday on the live stream, just as Anil Jutaram, the former chairman of the Sangre Grande Regional Corporation, was um, giving his tribute. And I listened to this man, and as usual, couldn't help but just shake my head listening to him, because he's up there on the pulpit or whatever with his entire entourage, a whole set of ladies behind him. I don't know who they were, what relation they had to him, but maybe perhaps employees of the Sangre Grande Regional Corporation who might have worked with Mr. Rondon. But so I'm listening to him, and as he's about to wrap up, he looks around the church and he's seeing different ministers. And he decides to take the opportunity to call on these ministers to name things after Terry Rondon. So he saw the Minister of Education and he decided to ask her to name a school in Matlat, the school after the bridge by the river. He would like her to name that school after Terry Martin Rondon. And then he looked to the other side of the church and he saw the Minister of Works and Transport, Rohan Sinanan, and he decided to ask him if he could name the highway from Valencia to Toco after Terry Martin Rondon. And then I think he also wanted them to name the regional corporation office after Martin Terry Rondon. And I mean, I'm listening to this guy and I'm saying, well, okay, the only thing left for him to say is that as soon as the funeral is over, he's going to find the first justice of the peace so that he could sign a deed poll to change his own name to Terry Martin Rondon. And then maybe when he goes home, he could tell his wife, well, we need to rename one of the children Terry Martin Rondon, because he was just on a roll. Like, well, he ain't got done today. How much things do you want them to name after Terry Martin Rondon? I'm saying, look at this man. Eh? All these accolades you're paying to Terry. He's such a great man and all of that, and you want so much things to be done in remembrance. That wasn't how he pronounced it. Can't remember. Of Terry Martin Rondon. But this is the same man who, when he was chairman of the corporation, when he became chairman in 2019, would have expanded the number of committees on the corporation from 12, as it was under Terry Rondon's chairmanship from 2013 to 2019. He increased it to 15. And you all know I always talk about this, and this is something that has me so incensed, that you increase it from 12 to 15, and you didn't do what Terry Rondon did when he was chairman, which was to ensure, against better advice, that every member of council, be they PNM or UNC, got a committee to chair. So everybody got a little extra in their pay packet at the end of the month, aside from their normal salary as members of council. They would have gotten a little extra something for being chairman of a committee. And from 2013 to 2019, PNM didn't have to do it, but it was the late great Terry Rondon who took the decision. It's 12 committees, 12 members of council. He could have said, well, you know what, as he was advised to do, we don't have to give the UNC nothing, so we will keep all 12 for ourselves and therefore salt for them. No, the man that Terry was, I never met him, but based on what I've heard, based on what we would have seen, based on what we read about him, that was the measure of the man. Politics aside, he is not going to say, well, he's not like them. Everybody get. But this same Jutaram yesterday who was singing Terry's praises, you and the UNC colleagues decided 12 committees is not enough to run the corporation. We need 15, and split all 15 up for yourselves. So 7 of you all, everybody get 2 each, and you as the chairman decided to take an extra 1. So you had 3. You didn't say, well, it's 15. We will take 2 apiece, and that extra 1 we will give it to Terry because of who Terry is. And we could have said to Terry, here, what, you see that committee you chaired for the last 6 years? You did such a fantastic job. We will leave you with that chairmanship, right? The rest of them, But you, Terry, are a stalwart in Sangre Grande. You have been here longer than all the rest of us. And if anybody on the PNM side deserve to chair committees, you didn't tell him that. You keep all for yourself with all your greedy selves. But you come yesterday to sing his praises. What did you do to honor Terry when he was alive, when you were chairman? Instead, you condone the disrespect of your fellow colleagues, especially that one was her name Susan, whatever, the one who sought to describe the behavior of the PNM members of council as old Negro. I mean, no, that's not the word she used, but we will keep it live friendly. Yeah, we didn't want Facebook to pop up a message to say that, we're using offensive language. Yeah, that is the kind of things that you condoned. Why you didn't name a street after him when you were chairman? You could have done that. Why didn't you do that? You name anything after him when you were chairman while he was alive? No, you're waiting on posthumously. When you have no more power because your party kick out your backside, you want to call on the government to do this and do that and name this and name that after Mr. Rondon. The PNM, the government needs no recommendations, no suggestions from Anil Jutaram or anybody else on that, for that matter, on that side of the political fence as to how they should honor Terry Rondon. Right? Terry Rondon was PNM through and through. Through and through. So government don't need no suggestions. And you see again, when you want to use the opportunity for self-aggrandizement, but you want to do it in this clandestine way. So that if it is the government decides, well, okay, even if they were already planning so to do, to name any of those things that he suggested after Terry Rondon, he could come and say, well, it's because I made that suggestion at the funeral, and that's why the government named this after Terry and named that. You see, that's the modus operandi. That's how they operate. So let me pretend that's okay about Terry. You didn't shed one tear yesterday, not one, and that's good. You didn't come there with crocodile tears. So at least in that respect, you're not a hypocrite. But better if you had just hush your mouth, just sit down in the audience and clap, rather than come up on the people's pulpit to say you want to pay tribute and being a damn hypocrite. Terry unfortunately died emotionally broken. I mean, when I heard, I didn't see the story, but it was reported that on the outcome of the local election in Sangre Grande on August 14th, he was not pleased, and it was reported that he would have cried over the fact that the PNM would have ceded yet another seat to the UNC in that region, right? Because he was working hard to try and rebuild, to take the numbers to the other direction. And unfortunately, he was left a disappointed man because the PNM people up there decided, nah, me a voting now. I have no time to go and vote in this local election. Now it making no sense. Right. Every time, and I keep making the point that when you say my one vote doesn't count, it's not you alone saying that. So you just add into the pot. So when you say that and your next door neighbor say that and the neighbor down the road say that and the other neighbors, it adds up. And especially when it comes to local election where the margins are so small, it could make a huge difference. And that's exactly what would have happened. I mean, I have time for that. The employer gave you 2 hours to go and vote, but you take the 2 hours to do what? Nothing. Yeah, you go home early and lie down and sleep. When it would have taken you but a few minutes to just run to the poll, cast your ballot, and then go home and sleep. You don't have time for that. So poor Terry now. Cry like a baby, I understand. So it was reported. So disappointed was he in the outcome of Sangre Grande region. Yeah? And some PNM people are allowed to go into the hands of the UNC. So I saw Mr. Warner was there yesterday. He also he spoke. And it was not lost on him to mention that. You see, and again, there's a problem I have. Time and place. Time and place, Mr. Warner. You're going in the man funeral to talk about, Terry with all the work that he had done and so on. That it was felt that the time had come for him to be elevated from councillor to member of parliament. But this is what Mr. Warner is saying. But the powers that be, the PNM, others felt differently. And and Terry spoke to him about that, and he would have been aggrieved by that. Come now, man. Stop trying to play politics in the people's funeral. This is the man's funeral. It's home. Go and relax yourself. It's every time. So any opportunity and platform all you get here is you gotta make things political. So you're trying to sow up seeds of discord in the man's funeral to say, well, you know, I was supporting. You supported nothing. All you wanted the UNC to win the seat. So to come now and talk about Terry and you felt that Terry should have been elevated to the position of MP. At the end of the day, it takes two things to happen for that to take place. One, the party would have had to select him as the candidate, and two, he had to get the votes. The party had no control over the votes, right? So, and in any event, if that had happened and he was the MP and he had passed on with more than a year to go to a general election, we would have had to have a by-election sometime in early or mid 2024 for the seat. To have to go through that process now and put this whole, well, the trauma of a by-election. But time and place now, man. That wasn't the place for you to come and talk that talk. If Terry Rondon had a conversation with you in confidence, and he tell you, look, Jack, so is the case, because Terry would not have been one to make an issue about that in public. So if when Ole went to church, you had a discussion and you bring up the topic and he tell you, well, yeah, well, I was open, so. Whatever is the content of the discussion, that was between you and him. It's not for you to come in the man's funeral and talk that talk. Certain things that he took it with him to the grave, hush your mouth. But no, you come in the man's funeral to talk them things. Time and place, they don't understand that. All the time. Anyway. Just get this here. But condolences again to Mr. Rondon's family and to the PNM family. Yeah, because as I said, Mr. Rondon was PNM through and through. And I don't know that you have too many more like him around. He was a man who would do for everybody, regardless of your political affiliation, political association. He doing that for you, right? So, look at this here. So I want to play a couple things here just now. As I said, I'm not going to be on that long this morning. As I always say that, and then you know how that is. So we know that the Prime Minister and the government, the Prime Minister and the Minister of Energy are currently in the UK, where they went to sign some agreements with BP, Shell, you know, the main players in the Atlantic LNG arrangement. And the Prime Minister and the Minister of Energy would have made, you know, and sort of make to highlight the significance of this latest trip, despite the fact that their political opponents in the UNC making it out to be just another a waste of time joint on the part of Keith Rowley, and he spending taxpayers' money to joyride all over the world. The government has sought to highlight why this is important. In particular, the fact that these agreements that would have been signed will see a change in terms of the makeup of the involvement of Trinidad and Tobago within this whole Atlantic LNG trading system. As we know, as it was reported before, the only train in which we had a shareholding was Train 1, which is the only train right now that is not operational. So we had a 10% shareholding in Train 1, which meant that any profits that train made, in addition to the government earning royalties and taxes from the other shareholders on their profits, we were also entitled to a 10% share of the profit. So we were making the most amount of money. Citizens of this country, the Treasury of Trinidad and Tobago would have been earning the most amount of money from Train 1, right, in terms of that split. Shareholding, profits, taxes, and royalties. The other three trains, we didn't have shareholding, so it was just taxes and royalties. My understanding is that with this new arrangement that has been agreed to, we would also have shareholding in some of the other trains. Now, you would think that is good news, right? Because it means with Train 1 down, and with the other three trains operational, this new agreement comes into play, we wouldn't only be earning as we have before over the last number of years, 2010 to 2015 and prior to that, we would have been earning taxes and royalties. Now we're getting profits, taxes, and royalties. More money, more avenues to earn, more money in the treasury of Trinidad and Tobago to do stuff for you, the citizens. Well, the former Minister of Energy, one Kevin Ramnarine, according to he, much ado about nothing. He didn't see why Rowley and Stuart Young making a big issue about this thing, because really and truly, they had to renegotiate the contracts anyway. So the bigger thing we need to be focused on is the gas shortage. That the production of natural gas since 2015 has declined by some 38%, and he wants to know what is being done to improve the production of natural gas in Trinidad and Tobago, and that is the thing that we should be more focused on. Don't focus on the fact that this administration, that this Prime Minister and this Minister of Energy have been able to do what he and his political leader, his Prime Minister, couldn't do, which was to get shareholding in the other trades, right? Let me play Kevin Ramnarine for you. I'll get him here. These people could sour hog food. For me to borrow, let me borrow a saying from, who says that boy? I think is Philip Alexander, one of them. Right. So let me get the goodly gentleman here. As usual, the media always runs to, these are the people they always run to for commentary. So they went to him, Kevin Ramnarine. I don't know why it is they keep going to people like Kevin Ramnarine, Karen Nunes-Teixeira, the usual suspects who never have anything good to say about anything that this government does. Everything that the government does that could benefit this country, when they sit down, they put on, they have the magnifying glass and, right, let me see the negative I could get in this. Right, good now, we ain't talking about that. Yes, that is good news too, don't talk about that. Look, this is what I'm looking for. Right, yes, the negative part of that. That is what. I'm waiting for the media to call me now. So they pick up the phone. Hey, call me now. Call me for a comment on this thing now. Yeah, because everybody bigging up this thing and I have the negative side. So give me a call now. And yeah, call me. And you record it and all, you could play it as a soundbite in the evening news. And then you could write a story about it too in the papers the next day. Yeah. Because that's the side. Rowley and I talking about that. What did it say? Where is it? I think this is it.
The Supplier Borough Corporation.
No, not that one. Yeah, I had to talk about that too. Where is this? Yeah, I think this is it. Connect. Right. This is the one I want.
Former Energy Minister Kevin Ramnarine says government needs to say when will the shareholders agreement for Atlantic LNG come into effect. On Tuesday, Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley and Energy Minister Stuart Young met with representatives from BP Shell and the National Gas Company in London to formally mark the completion of all contractual agreements. But Mr. Ramnarine wants to know how will the natural gas decline be addressed going forward.
A lot is being made of something, which to me is really no big deal. The production of LNG is 38% less than it was in 2015. And that's because natural gas production is in precipitous decline.
Mr. Ramnarine is also asking whether the shareholders agreement would be effective when the Train 2 and 3 contracts come to an end in 2024.
And will it be fully effective when the Train 4 contract comes to an end in 2027?
He adds that the ending of these contracts was a natural progression for the companies, as was the unification of the shareholding agreement.
So you're concerned about natural gas production, right? Let me don't focus on, according to he, let me don't focus on the fact that this new arrangement would see the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago getting more money, benefiting more than under what previously obtained, right? Let us only focus on the fact that natural gas production is down and what are we doing to fix that. So if we fix it and it goes back up, right? So let's say incentives are offered, we find new gas, somehow we are able to to maneuver around this latest development with respect to Mr. Maduro and Guyana, and the natural gas and the dragon gas comes on stream, and we have gas coming in now. And therefore, the government stands to make more money, the citizens. But we don't focus on that. Let's only focus on the fact that natural gas is down. Now, if it is we are to dismiss the signing of that agreement and the benefits to be derived therefrom, as he wants to suggest, then basically he's also saying that if and when gas is found and the production goes back up somehow, the increased revenue flows, that's no big thing. They're making much ado about nothing. You see, this is the problem. Anything positive that they believe can hamper their chances of getting back into office in 2025, they dismiss. These are the people who are telling you they are the government in waiting. These are the people who are telling you they are the alternative to the PNM, but will not be honest with the citizens of this country to call a speed a speed. That when something is good, you say it is good. You could say it is good, but. It is good, but they don't know about that. All they know about, forget that. Let me focus on this. Let's talk about this. Yeah? This good thing happening, but crime in the country is so high. Let's talk about the state of crime. Let's not talk about the positives. The fact that almost every major corporation in this country is declaring significant profits. I saw yesterday, I read TTMF, I believe it was. TTMF here, I believe, declared 99 million, almost $100 million in profits for over 9 months, right? Over 9 months. We don't talk about that. We want to talk about crime. You notice they ain't really talking much about the murder statistics these days, because we are behind where we were last year. Because I think I saw the latest figure was 535. It's 535, boy, yeah. And I think same time last year we were on 558. So 20-something murders less, 23 murders less this year so far, as opposed to last year. And with just about 24 days left in the month, they're concerned. So every morning now, all of them praying, Lord, we need to cross the 600. I notice the rate has slowed down. And based on where it's going, over the festive season, the criminals and them busy, they're festive, so they mightn't kill as much. But we needed to fix that, right? So over the course of the next 24 days, we needed to ramp up. We're behind quota. We need to cross the 600 figure one, and we need to cross last year's figure so that we could say, you see, it has gotten worse because Gary needs something to talk about. And we need to put some licks on Ula. So please, Lord, if you could give us a double or triple murder this today, and over the course of the next 7 days, if we could give out 2 or 3 of that, we would be grateful. Because we need to put some licks on the PNM with respect to crime. And we've been talking murder rate whole year. And when it is we want to big up Jamaica to say, well, Jamaica had a 10% reduction in the rate of murder. So they have the number of murders committed in Jamaica year to date is a little less than what it was last year. But we will praise Jamaica for that. And we will big up Andrew Holness and his government for that. But when the same thing happened in Trinidad here, we ain't talking that. No. When it is that the Minister of National Security or the Commissioner of Police talk about that the rate at which murders are taking place would have gone down, we will ridicule them and say, but look at what they begin up, look at what they're praising. The fact that it have a little less murders this year. So the rate at which murders is being committed has gone down a bit, and they're patting themselves on the shoulder for that. So don't talk about it in Trinidad, but in Jamaica, we will give Andrew Holness praises, full praise for that. Ralph Marad write a whole article praising Andrew Holness because they had about 20-something or 30-something less murders so far for the year than they did last year. But in Trinidad, when the same thing happens, ridicule the persons who are responsible for treating with the issue of crime, right? This is the state of hypocrisy. But as I think, based on what I read a couple of days ago, as of the 25th of November, that's the most recent statistics I could find, there were 1,235 murders in Jamaica, right? As of the 25th of November. I'm sure there were more murders because I read about more murders having taken place since then. Last year, Jamaica ended on 1,498 that the police know about. 1,498 murders were committed in Jamaica last year. Right? 1,235. But for Ralph and them, because it's a little less than where it was same time last year, that is good. And Andrew Holness is on the right track. And according to Ralph, Keith Rowley should call Andrew Holness and talk to him and get some ideas or some advice on what he could do so as to emulate, right? And see if he could do the same thing that Holness did. You know how many states of emergency Andrew Holness has had to call in Jamaica so far for the year? How many parishes they've had to have states of emergency in to treat with the state of crime? You know how many? But according to Ralph, Dr. Rowley should call Andrew Holness and ask him for advice. So he should say, we have a state of emergency in Lavantil, we have a state of emergency in Arima, however it is. That is their solution. Their solution. Yeah. So plenty of them nervous and counting down the days. And every day, the first thing they're looking at, they must see the news, I must see how much people get killed today, boy. Only 2? Oh gosh, boy. What's going on? Come on, man, criminals, better than that. Well, you're behind quota. We need about 650 this year. So we could continue to say every time the PNM in power, murders go up. Yeah, that's what we need. These are the people telling you, put us back in office. We have the answers. We have, according to Munilal, the programs, the policies to be able to treat with crime and treat with everything else and make sure that Tobago a veritable utopia that it was between 2010 and 2015, according to them. But to do that, we need to raise hell now under the PNM. Yeah, that's what they need to do. So there is nothing that they could do with respect to all of the lies and propaganda that they're engaging in. It's not sufficient. So they need to advocate for more murders. And when they focus, so that's why ENC, they ain't talking about that. Because if they had to talk about the murder, they will allude to it now and again. I say crime in the country and crime, but ask them to give you statistics, specific figures. They ain't giving you that. You feel Gary will come and put up a post and talk about, look, as he did about a month ago, to quote that, a whole article he posted up on his Facebook page about what happening in Jamaica and that the murder rate, there was a 12% decline in the murder rate in Jamaica. But he wouldn't do statistics and post up a similar article on his Facebook page to praise Ulla Christopher or to commend Ulla Christopher or the TTPS. When he was commissioner, everything is my men this and my men that and my men and my men. But as soon as you lost your work, you abandon them. The same work that you wanted to get back, that you're still thirsty for, you wouldn't praise your former men for whatever any bit of improvement they could get, any results, but even if it's small, as insignificant as some people may consider it to be, it is still a step in the right direction. Yeah? So as I said, 23 less murders this year so far than as we were last year. That is not good news for them. So they wouldn't talk that. And dare the commissioner of police to come out and talk about it, well, the amount of lick she will get. Yeah. You mustn't talk. Hush your mouth now, man. Why are you highlighting that for? Relax. We need over 600. 24 days to go. So they're done working out. Well, we need about 4 per day by this and that. Yeah. And they love Trinidad and Tobago and they want the crime rate to go down. That's what they're telling you. We want the government to deal with crime. We want to meet. We want to have this meeting to treat with crime. And what we tell Gary, okay, stay out. So Gary, stay out. Let me see what Rowley going and do now. Rowley bluffing. That's them. Because we so need to treat with the state of crime, the home invasions and the murders is too much. You're saying that in public, but every morning when you end in your prayers, Lord, please don't forget, we need an extra 3 or 4 murders today to take the toll over 600. Please don't let it end under 600, because then your Rowley and Ulla Christopher will have something to crow about. Yeah, but that is the alternative government. That's the alternative government. We will sanction murders until such time as we could come back into office. And then if they get back into power now and they are unable to treat with the crime, you know what they'll say? Well, the situation got so bad under Rowley and them, 5 years is not enough for us to fix it. Yeah, it's going to take about 10 years for us to undo the mess that Rowley and the PNM created with respect to crime. going to play my second video here, my second recording. So apparently, and I don't know why this continues, it seems only in UNC constituencies you have this, UNC controlled corporations, you have this problem with respect to diesel and the shortage of diesel. And workers are unable to go out and do the job for which they're being paid because the vehicles park up because it has no diesel. I'm going to play this, right? So the latest one is in Siparia, the borough corporation of Siparia, led by one Dudnat Meru. I don't know if he on here. I know before he became mayor, he used to be, I used to see his name popping up in the comments. Yeah? So I know that he reached, he's a jefe, a big papi, tanto, el capo de tutti capi. I don't know, he probably had time to come on here, but that's okay. Maybe in his spare time he could watch it. But workers of the Siparia Borough Corporation yesterday had to protest. They had to walk off the job because they couldn't do their work because the vehicles had no diesel. Right? And according to Mayor Dudnat Meru and others on council, the UNC members of council, it is because the government has not released funding and therefore it have no money to buy any diesel, and as such, the vehicle park up. Only to learn that the Siparia Borough Corporation has some $11 million sitting down in their bank account, much of which is unspent balances, monies that they would have received before, but may not have, that was earmarked for certain projects, and the projects were not completed, and they have the money sitting down there. I don't know what it is with them. The same thing happened, the Penal Debe Corporation, in the last iteration under Alan Sami, when he was the chairman. Well, they replaced him backside now. Same thing, same diesel issue, right? They're not purchasing the diesel, claiming they have no money. The government has released money, but all they have money sitting down in unspent balances in your bank account. Shobona's Borough Corporation, same thing. Faik Mohammed, already called in the last term, saying that he had to send home workers because they had no money to pay workers. But over $3 million sitting down in their bank account in unspent balances, and talking about that money is for infrastructure, so we can't use that. When it is that the law allows them to wire money in emergency situations. So, because we have 11 million in unspent balances, but we know the money coming eventually, the Ministry of Finance will make releases. So we could use money from what we have in the bank, pay for what we need to pay for, and when the government releases the monies, we will just put it back. They may know about that. Listen, let me play this one.
The Siparia Borough Corporation received a much-needed resupply of diesel from UNIPET today, putting an end to a standoff that ensued after transport workers staged a protest. President of the NUGFW's South Branch, Jason Gordon, confirmed the arrival of the supplier, saying all tanks were successfully refilled.
A number of vehicles went out this morning to normal operations, including the farmer, the backhoe, the water trucks, and a number of smaller vehicles went out this morning. The only vehicle that did not go out this morning because the time the diesel arrived was the cesspool truck. But that will resume normal duties tomorrow. Please, Gordon.
In a subsequent release, the Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development revealed the Borough Corporation's bank held over $11 million.
And despite unpaid allocations, the ministry said councils can shift funds without approval. But Mayor Dudnat Meru said their financial officer had deemed this illegal and against financial regulations, so his council declined.
The financial officer said that it was illegal to do. But the lawmakers, the people who make the law are telling you, you can do it. There's nothing wrong with using money that would have been allocated for other things, and the projects haven't been done yet. It's not like we're talking about the whole thing. It was 120 something, I think it was $21,000 or so they were owing UNIPET. But they rather play politics, deny the burgesses of the Siparia Borough Corporation basic services, so we can play politics and say, well, you see, Rowley and you see him both releasing the money, so we have no money, but $11 million sit down in the bank that you could use, right? And you say, well, that earmarked for projects. Some of the projects that you mightn't even start until the next 5, 6, 7 months. So the money should just sit down in the bank account there, and meanwhile, every month, the bank pull in their service fees, you have need for that money to be able to send out your vehicle so that the burgesses of the Superior Borough Corporation could get the services that they need. And you sit down on the money and talking, well, in Britain, send the money for the new fiscal year, so we can't do nothing. Let the truck park up there. Let the vehicles park up there. So we heard one of the vehicles that went out was the cesspool truck. That's the truck that's go around to empty persons' cesspits and so on. Even that service, people cannot get because do not Meru and them want to play politics to say import and releasing the money. It's every bloody time. And the ministers always have to come out, whether it's the Minister of Finance or the Minister of Rural Development and Local Government, to come and say, but look, well, you have the money there. You have the money. You could use the money. You don't even need permission. But if you want to make it official, write to me and I will give you authorization. So if all you're concerned that it is illegal, at the end of the day, if it comes to that, you could say, well, look, I have a letter here from the minister giving us permission to do this. So don't blame us. If it is deemed illegal, talk to the minister. He gave us permission to do it. The Minister of Finance has the authority. But no, you sit down on your hands and complaining, we have no money. And if they have no money, so we can't do nothing. So people vex to the PNM and say, you see, this government and this government and this government. So let me read the release that was put out by the ministry. Correcting the record relative to the Superior Borough Corporation's unfortunate protest action. Rains this morning. The Ministry of Rural Development and Local Government has noted recent reports circulating about protests by drivers assigned to the Superior Borough Corporation due to alleged delays in the allocation of funds for the purchase of diesel. The report stated that Mayor Dudnat Meru confirmed that drivers of these vehicles were unable to execute their duties this morning due to a shortage of diesel for the vehicles. Rural Development and Local Government seeks to provide clarification and set the record straight with the following facts. 1. Presently, the Superior Borough Corporation's main bank account holds a balance of over $11 million. This has been the case for the entire period of relevance. 2. As per contributions in the debate on the national budget, it is not uncommon for releases under specific heads to be unpaid. In such circumstances, councils can via monies for use with approval. This is so for expenses required under the maintenance of vehicles votes. SBC, in fact, has an outstanding amount of $121,992.41 owed to the selected service provider for diesel, covering the period September to November 2023. Long before the announcement of the mayor of the Superior Borough Corporation, the council was informed by its CEO that the current balance could in fact be used to address the outstanding payment. Let me repeat that. Long before the announcement of the mayor of the Superior Borough Corporation, the council was informed by its CEO that the current balance could in fact be used to address the outstanding payment. The council, unfortunately, did not approve the use of these funds for the payment of $121,992.41 to the service provider when they could easily have done so. Further, the council was advised that once the releases for specific heads are received, that funds would be replaced in the bank. So they were advised, you have $11 million in the bank. There's $121,000 you're owing for diesel. Just write a check, pay the people, get the diesel so that the workers could go out and do the work for which they are paid. And when the Ministry of Finance releases the funds that are due to you for this quarter, because remember the budget was passed in October and things are being, the other way money has to come in from taxes from the last quarter, ended September 2023. As monies come in, people are paying the taxes, the energy companies and whoever else, corporate TNT, paying in the taxes, the money coming into the government. They will now sift out, well, how much we have and who we could give from what we received so far. So you have to give it a month or two for you to receive the money, right? They may understand that. That is why you put a clown like Dudnat Meru as the mayor of Superior, right? And you expect miracles. You expect to get proper governance. When you put a dunce as the mayor, this is what happens. But who did that? Right. The ministry urges the council to take steps in the best interest of their burgesses as they have more than adequate resources and monies available to them. All other councils and practitioners in local government are aware of the easy processes available to treat with payments, which is the thing I was wondering. How come you don't hear that in these issues in the Arima Borough Corporation, the Port of Spain Borough Corporation, Samuel Avantil, Point 14, all of these corporations that are controlled by the PNM? You don't see these things happening. And I'm certain in every one of these corporations, you have UNC persons who are supportive of the UNC working. So if they wanted to organize a protest, they could easily do so. But there's nothing for them to protest about because things run in smooth. Because the persons who head these corporations understand the system. As does Do Not Meru and them, they understand too. But let me play politics. To say, you see, the government is doing that. They can't give all of these services because. So when it is anything, any good news happening that they figure, we need to put a damper on that, because people might be saying, well, hey, the government performing. Maybe I need to get them a chance. Let us do something to reverse that. But again, when you put a dunce as mayor of Siparia, no surprise there. That is the type of outcome that you expect. And meanwhile, the Burgesses, they're holding the Burgesses to ransom, to play politics, to make the government look bad. But that is politics UNC style, right? That's politics UNC style. That's probably why the political leader, she ain't saying nothing about it because she knows what the truth is. $11 million sitting down in the bank and talking nonsense, but it could be illegal to use. But it wasn't illegal to thief $300,000 from the coffers, the same bank account. $300,000 gone missing. Up to now, we don't know where it went. We don't know what the outcome of that is. Yeah? The same financial officer who you claim tell earlier that it's illegal to take $121,000 to pay for diesel so workers could do their work, couldn't tell you that it's illegal to thief $300,000. $300,000 gone missing just so. Just so. This same financial officer, assuming it's the same one, didn't see when the money was being stolen. But to authorize payment for diesel, even if it's half, to Mama Guy Unipet, so they say, well, we get half the bill. Go ahead. Even that all they can't do. But 300,000 gone missing. But you're so circumspect. Right. And do not. Bunch of bloody jokers. Let me get this thing here. But I just wanted to revisit for just a little bit. Where is this article? Kevin Ramnaran. Right? Let me just remind him of an article that was published December 12, 2014, entitled 8 Energy Firms Lost $10 billion in the Last 4 Years. I'll just read a couple paragraphs. From 2010 to 2014, 8 energy companies based in the Point Lisas industrial estate suffered combined losses of $1.6 billion US dollars, or roughly $10 billion, because of irregular natural gas supply. In turn, the National Gas Company lost US $653 million, or about $4.1 billion in revenues. The government lost US $217.4 million, or about $1.3 billion in corporation tax, and US $1.4 million, or $8.82 million, for the Green Fund. On August 25th, the Point Lisas Energy Association of CEOs, which comprises Ian Welch, Managing Director of PCS Nitrogen, and they get the list of persons, penned a 3-page letter about the gas supply curtailments to Energy Minister Kevin Ramnaran. The chief executive said despite their pleas in 2011 that the matter be addressed, they were severely affected by frequent curtailment in the supply of natural gas to our various plants. And Plea noted that they had tried to collaborate with other stakeholders in an effort to come up with solutions to the problem. Plea even facilitated and paid for consultants to work with the group you agreed to form, and this is what they put in the letter, to Kevin Ramnaran, to look at the shortfall issue. Sadly, to date, little progress has been made. Indeed, despite these efforts and notwithstanding numerous assurances to the contrary, the gas curtailments continue unabated and have been worse than forecast and appear to have no end in sight. And as a result of this situation, our respective companies, and by extension the government and the people of Trinidad and Tobago, continue to lose significant revenue daily, the letter said. This does not include the other indirect losses and expenses, such as the damage caused to our equipment by constantly having to cycle the plants to respond to broad fluctuations in supply, and the impact that this has had on the equipment's ability to continue to produce safely at design capacity. Nor does it capture the full trickle-down effect on and the opportunity cost to the nation. Additionally, indirect effects include the increased risk of accidents and environmental mishaps and the development of a reputation as an unreliable supplier of petrochemical products. Honorable Minister, the image that is being painted of Trinidad and Tobago is a place where the gas is either running out or the supply has been overcommitted. The longer this image is allowed to persist, the less attractive the country will be as a venue for foreign direct investment. Numerous investors have passed up the opportunity of investing in Trinidad and Tobago to invest in other countries where the supply of gas is more readily available and consistent. We fear that unless the situation is soon brought under control and the confidence in the availability of gas to be supplied to our plants is restored, we may soon witness the permanent closure and migration of plants from Trinidad and the collapse of the Point Lisas model, the letter observed. And they said the situation required immediate and definitive handling and called for critical measures which they identified. This is 2014. This is the Point Lisas Energy Association writing to Kevin Ramnarine, the same one that CNC3 saw it fit to run to for commentary on the government's efforts, Prime Minister and the Minister of Energy's latest actions with respect to getting these agreements signed for the benefit of Trinidad and Tobago. The so-called expert, he have all the answers to fix the energy situation in the country. Yeah, so I guess that's why the media runs to him. But when he was the man directly in charge and he had the power, he was in charge over the Ministry of Energy, all of this happened. Point Lisas Energy Association wrote any such letter to the Minister of the Government in the last 8 years? In the last 8 years, have you read anywhere where they have written such a letter to the Minister of Energy? Whether it be Franklin Kahn or Stuart Young. But this is 2014. And the man who today pontificated, he is the guru for energy and want to criticize what this administration is doing to treat with a problem that started under him. He have all the answers, but he couldn't fix it. Yeah, he couldn't manage it when he was in charge. You hear what they talk about here? Foreign direct investment. Companies passed up the opportunity to invest in Trinidad because of what was happening under them. But today they want to talk about foreign direct investment and under Keith Rowley and the PNM, foreign direct investment is negative. Yeah, but this letter says, in speaking, you see when the problem started? I read for you all on Tuesday, Vivek Charan. Yeah, he said the shortage, the foreign exchange shortage started when? 2012. The gas curtailment issue started when? 2014, according to this letter. So, well, not even 2014. 2011, the letter was written. So between 2010 to 2014, you know how much money was lost? Under whose management? Stuart Young wasn't the Minister of Energy, when Keith Rowley wasn't the Prime Minister. Kamla was the Prime Minister, and Kevin Ramnarine was the Minister of Energy. All that money lost. Persons, companies bypassed Trinidad Street like a full bus and gone elsewhere to invest their money because of what was happening and the government's inability to give assurances that the problem could be fixed. Under them, you feel they would talk about that? You feel the media would remind them of this letter? If you're interviewing Kevin, read this for him, just that little piece, and remind him and hear what he has to say. Call them out on the hypocrisy. But always run into he and Karen Tishera and the rest of them who have nothing good to say about anything that this government does. Yeah? As I said, I didn't have that much time this morning, so let me just move on quickly to what is the topical issue, the latest development with respect to Guyana-Venezuela, where we see that Mr. Maduro is moving post-haste following his referendum on Sunday, was it? Sunday, I think it was. Saturday, Sunday, whichever day. Yeah, Saturday or Sunday. With respect to his referendum to annex the Essequibo region of Guyana, which represents 2/3 of Guyana's land space. Significant. And he has given instructions. He has set up an interim government for that region. I guess it's a local government arrangement for that region. He has also given instructions based on what we've read to PDVSA and other similar Venezuelan companies to begin issuing licenses for the exploitation for gas and for oil and gas in that region. So he's being proactive. And persons are concerned that this is going to lead to war and all of that. I don't believe that there's going to be any war. I think Mr. Maduro is doing these things again, and this is perhaps the only thing that the leader of the opposition, Kamala Busabi-Sessa, and myself can agree on. It's really to show up some level of nationalism as they head into a general election in Venezuela. So he's trying to get persons to coalesce, nationals, to rally to him to see, well, you see Mr. Maduro doing things to improve Venezuela's lot. But all of these things, persons who are concerned that it's going to result in military aggression, I don't see that happening, because I listened to the president of Ghana, well, some of his address to the nation the other night, and he would have spoken about, the Ghana Defense Force stands ready, along with the support of their regional allies, as well as the U.S. Southern Command. And Mr. Maduro didn't take too kindly to those words. In fact, he would have responded to Mr. Ali, president of Ghana, indicating that he takes umbrage to Mr. Ali invoking the U.S. Southern Command, the U.S. military, and their involvement in the whole arrangement. He's saying that what Ghana needs to do is to engage in dialogue under the Geneva Convention. So he is still advocating dialogue, saying, well, okay, let us come to the table and let us sit down and have a discussion about where we go from here. This is the posture of Mr. Maduro. So he is not advocating military intervention, but he's not a foolish man. So he knows if there is any attempt at military intervention on the part of Venezuela, certainly there will be U.S. involvement to protect its interests in the region. The U.S. does, in fact, maintain an embassy with staff in Ghana and neighboring countries as well, Trinidad and Tobago and so on. So they have interest to protect, and therefore certainly there would be an involvement. And the Venezuelan military certainly is no match for that of the US, especially at a time when most of the US military is quite available. They are no longer in Afghanistan. They would have pulled out of Afghanistan. They're not involved actively in any of the two main wars taking place right now, that being Russia and Ukraine, and Israel and Palestine, Hamas. Right? There is no, to the best of my knowledge, there is no U.S. military personnel involvement. All the U.S. has been doing is providing these entities who they support with, weapons, support in terms of weapons and funding, but they don't have personnel on the ground, boots on the ground. So they have a lot of spare capacity should Mr. Maduro decide that he wants to go that way. And he knows it certainly would not end well for him. Added to which, if Mr. Maduro needed to get support, military support that is, the only countries he could rely on would be Russia, China, and to a lesser extent, North Korea. Right now, Russia is not in any position to help him because their resources are heavily spent with respect to this ongoing Ukraine-Russia war, which we're not hearing too much about in mainstream media. The focus has been more on Israel, Palestine, and even that you're not hearing too much about now. Because, the sensationalism and the novelty of it kind of weighed down a little bit now. And especially given the fact that the Western media supports Israel, but most of the casualties that we're seeing now is on the Palestinian side, and it's mainly innocent folks, Palestinians, who are losing their lives. All we see is innocent children being killed, innocent civilians being killed. And so the casualties on the Israeli side isn't that much. So how can you continue to cover this story and turn a blind eye to what is happening in Palestine, where you have innocent persons are being killed by the thousands? We've seen that after the ceasefire to allow for the release of hostages. They've now returned to active war. And again, the casualties on the Palestinian side continues unabated. So there's that. And so Russia can't really give Mr. Maduro any assistance right now. They need help. which is why Vladimir Putin, the president of Russia, would have met recently with North Korean President Kim Jong-un for some support, some military support. And then China has their own issues to deal with right now. China has never been, well, as far as I'm aware, been a country known to engage in military aggression in support of anybody. They have their own territorial disputes going on. China is currently in territorial disputes with about 5 or 6 different entities. You have Taiwan and Bhutan and a few others. So and there has been no military aggression on their part. So I don't think that they're going to depart from that. They've chosen to use diplomacy to treat with that. So they're not going to abandon what they have been practicing for a number of years in their territorial disputes. So come on this side of the world to supply Chinese warships and Chinese soldiers. So I don't see that happening. And then they have their economic issues to deal with, which is their focus. As you know, the Chinese prefer to fight war using economics rather than firepower. So the Belt and Road Initiative, where they were seeking global dominance by, offering monies to different countries and trying to, we know how that goes. Well, I saw yesterday Moody's would have downgraded the Chinese credit rating from stable to negative, as opposed to Trinidad and Tobago, where we are positive. So that is not good news for the Chinese as well. So that is their focus. Xi Jinping not interested in Chinese lives being lost, especially when his country, similar to that of North Korea, now find themselves in a situation of a declining birth rate. After years of the one-child policy in China, they're now starting to feel the effects of that. And so they're begging the citizens, let me make more children now. Please. But the cost of living in China is pretty high, and so people are not interested in that. Yeah. So I don't foresee any war taking place. I think Mr. Maduro right now blowing hot air, and with the concessions that the US have given, relaxing of sanctions and so on, I don't think he would fare well in that regard if it is the US were to decide to reinstitute such sanctions. And if you want to know if this is something to be concerned about, when you see the Western media not talking about it, so CNN, it's not a big issue on CNN, it's not a big issue on MSNBC, Fox News, or any of these major media houses, you're not seeing any lengthy stories about, they're even talking about it, for that matter. It tells you, they don't really beat no biggie. Much ado about nothing, as far as they are concerned, right? So our biggest concern should be how this is going to impact on the Dragon Gas deal, because there would be calls for Trinidad and Tobago to say something. But I would say, Dr. Oli, just relax, just let CARICOM do the talking. You hush your mouth. Hush your mouth, you do what it is that you have to do. Because at the end of the day, when this conflict is resolved, our economy still requires help. And if the Dragon Gas deal can help us, I'm not being callous, I'm just simply saying that let diplomacy take its course, despite what the UNC is saying, and continue to call on the government to make commentary and all kind of thing. And when you have a woman who wants to be the next prime minister of this country, going on a national platform and calling out the Venezuelan president and issuing, veiled threats, right? Her supporters concerned about war. Well, talk to your leader, telling Maduro, you touch one, you touch all, and we stand our ground with Venezuela. And if it is you touch Venezuela, you touch Trinidad and Tobago. So what, she committing the Trinidad and Tobago Defense Force to participate if there is armed conflict? That if she's the prime minister, she will say, well, yeah, hey, all you who down in Camp Ogden or wherever it is, you see all your soldiers who they like to say don't do nothing, come, go and fight. That's what she doing? You touch one, you touch all? Is that what that translates to? That the opposition leader is committing the services of the Trinidad and Tobago Defense Force to be part of a conflict that we have nothing to do with. Yeah? Yeah, but that is leadership. She boasting about that. So you are antagonizing the leader of another country in a public way. Let me ask you something. Have you all heard the opposition in any other Caribbean country talking the way Kamala Prasad is talking? Any of them? We need to stand with. As far as I see, again, all of the other Caribbean countries, the leadership of all these countries continue to speak through CARICOM. I have not heard any of the other Caribbean leaders come out to make a statement separate and apart from what CARICOM has said, as the UNC is advocating that our Prime Minister should do, so that he should step out of his crease. So she is the only opposition leader, and that is the only opposition in the region that is doing what they are doing, seeking to antagonize, right? Have declared their hand, have let Maduro know, this is our opposition, we don't want nothing to do with you, right? We consider you, and she called the man a dictator. So after you call this man a dictator, you feel if you win election in 2025 and he is still the president of Venezuela, how do you relate with him? How do you do that? So what would our relationship with Venezuela be should you become prime minister? After it is on public record, and I'm sure the man is aware that you called him a dictator and that you issued a threat to him, telling him, you touch one, you touch all. How is he to interpret that statement, Mrs. Prasad? Is that a declaration of war? Because you are the opposition leader, a heartbeat away from the prime ministership. And you talking that talk. Your party talking that talk. The only opposition party in the region doing that. So imagine, you were to win. You were the only prime minister in the region who would not have a relationship with the president of Venezuela. You all heard any other opposition in the region declare support for Guaido? So when all want to supporters of that party want to come and tell us that that is the best option for governance in this country, they are supposed to take us out of the morass, and Kamala was the best prime minister, this and that she better than Rowley and all of that. Are you concerned about war? You don't be concerned about war when it is that your leader is antagonizing the man who has the wherewithal, if war is to be triggered, and she telling them, you touch one, you touch all. Well, I hope if it comes to that, in the same way she talked about you touch one, you touch all, the same way Brian Stone, the late Brian Stone, wanted to go to Ukraine to fight. Did he ever go? Talking about he wanted to raise funds, he set up a GoFundMe so that people could put money so that he could go to the Ukraine and fight war in defense of the Ukrainian people. Since all you like to involve all yourself in things that have nothing to do with all you. If it comes to that and there is military aggression between the two, I hope you send Tanku, send Rambali. You yourself should go and pick up arms in Guyana to fight the Venezuelans. And the whole all 19 on the lower house should pick up all the Jahaji bundles and go across the trip to Guyana and tell them we come to help all your fight. Yeah, we come for training. We going out on the battlefield too. You touch one, you touch all. The 309,000 persons who vote for you, carry them too. All here. You all can start a GoFundMe. I will contribute to that. So you all can buy plane tickets to go to Guyana, all 309,000. All you go Guyana and fight. Strengthen the Guyana Defense Force and go and fight the Venezuelans. Yeah, and leave the rest of us here. We good. All you go across there, we will applaud all you from afar. Bunch. Anyway. 7701763. That's all I'm on the live Uvex. That's all your business. That's all your leader. All you're always big enough. The greatest thing since sliced bread. For all you. And Roberts have a problem with Eric Williams being called the father of the nation, but we must call her the mother of the nation, right? Not here. Leave that for Kingsley. Stupid. Get this. Yes, now give me 1 second. I'm gonna put on this thing here. So let's see something here. 1 sec. Nice. Right, let me see who we have here. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Dominic.
Morning.
Does Kamala do a position in government? Is she prime minister?
Partly she thinks she is.
What place, you know? That is why she wrote for Donald Trump. She doesn't know. I am the ex-wife. Kamala ex-wife. He got divorced 2015. Get a bank of Kamala Pack up your pampers and go. You are not the PM. She bullied Manning into the election, so she's a bully. And I don't know how anybody could sit in the UNC and support that. Listen to what she's doing. You are not leader. Now, if the PM Rowley sides with Guyana, do the suffer. Because the Dragon Gas deal is in need. It's uncertain in our land. We need help for our country. You know what's bad? This complaining. I went price match on Tuesday. No parking space. I mean none. I went to Massey Grocery, grocery park. I went to Pennywise. Nobody in. But they have no money, right?
Yes.
Every place is packed. How they have no money? What they used to do it? What they bartering to get things? Should you hear me well? There's no perfect party because you're human. But when Ramna Ryan, Auntie Shara, and Raj pushing that head, he says something. It's not about nation, but it's about the person. They were rejected. A rejected person is a bitter person. A bitter person will always find fault. Do not lose your mind and vote UNTM people. Because if you do, your children and grandchildren and your great-great-grand will be paying the devil. When you say wine, drop on wine. Anyway, if you're cooking food, drop in the food and wine. Do not take Amna on. Don't listen to Ramla Ryan or Raj or the sheriff. They are for themselves because they were rebuked and rejected. Now have a good day. Be blessed, my love. Bye.
You too. Thank you. Jenny, come back.
Jerusalem.
Jenny, morning.
Hi, morning, Dominic.
Morning.
Morning to all those who are tuning in to one of the hottest programs on social media.
Thank you.
With regard to that situation with Kamala Persad has always been reckless. We saw it when she would have written to the opposition in Australia, writing to them to say basically that Trinidad and Tobago and the government in Australia involved in some corrupt deal with regards to the OPVs. We saw it through to the American ambassador for America to put sanctions on Trinidad and Tobago. We saw what she said with the ATM machine. We saw the effects of that when Jamaica started to put all our goods off the shelf because we are one of the biggest supplier of goods. They buy a lot of stuff from us. And it continues. And it's not going to stop. Kamala Persad says, in my mind, she does not care. It is all about her, power, money. There's a doctor, Dr. Vishnu Bishram from Guyana, I think it is. He would have said that the failure of the Indians to hold political power, they may have economic power, but the failure of them to hold political power is that when they're in office, it's not about making good legislation. It is more about cocktail party, first-class travel, nepotism, contracts to friends and family. It's all about that. And I am watching and I'm looking and I'm more inclined to really believe what he would have said. I've never heard anybody challenge what he said. So that's why I'm saying Kamala Persad says that based on that, They don't care. It's all about office, about money. And of course, McCandless Daga told us what happened. They are seeing all these deals coming back on stream. That means money. And they want to be there to spend that money. So that's why I'm saying to people again, it's not just good enough to listen to Dominic Romade, Sharon Felix, Bruce Wayne, Darian Master, John Gill, John Benoit, Pastor Google, Juliet Davy, Mr. Ruka, or read all the posts that people are putting up in defense of good governance and PNN, Ms. Dan Joseph, Ms. Suwan, and so many others. All that will go to naught. And then when you hear the callers like Mr. Chance and Brian, Junior, Sina, the whole crew, those from Tobago also, Ms. Rowley, St. George and others. All that will come to naught if 2025, you all don't get up, take your children who have age to vote, your grandchildren, your nanny, your bougie, everybody, and go to the polls and vote resoundingly for the People's National Movement. If you all don't do that, don't be calling and tell Dominic you're sounding good and Sharon the nice and we're saying it's true. You get the information, convert that to index finger, dipping it in red after you put your X by the People's National Movement and the Bali. Anything other than that, everybody just wasting their time. Thank you, Dominic. Have a blessed day and have a blessed day, everybody.
You too. Hello, good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Mr. Romade.
Morning, sir.
You know, as you mentioned, Kamla this morning, I took serious umbrage to that speech, you know. Especially the part where she was saying that the people of Trinidad and Tobago, which means that she's automatically saying she's speaking on my behalf.
Correct.
And I'm sorry. No, listen, one of the things I don't do anymore because I'm in a senior age, I don't listen to stupid people anymore. So when you see people like Ralph Moraj and Anil Roberts, I totally ignore them. Because so far as I'm concerned, I have no confidence in anyone who will tell me one thing today and come back and tell me something completely contrasting tomorrow. But whether I like it or not, Mrs. Besessa is the opposition leader. And in certain quarters, she's going to be listened to. Although she might be misconstruing the authority that she has. And I feel that she's much smarter than that. She must know what she's talking is right. You understand?
Yes.
But I feel that at present, now had I been in position in the ruling party, I would have made a statement. Because I would have said, look, you have the authority to speak, yes, you as opposition leader. But please do not mention the people of Trinidad and Tobago. Because you're giving people a false narrative. You're giving them the impression that the people are backing you. And since no one has come out to debunk this statement, it could be accepted as true. You follow me?
Yes.
Maybe I'm being naive. Maybe I'm being stupid. But I was going to come out and put her in a place already, brother. You understand?
I agree with you.
And I'm very serious about that. I'm very serious about that because people in Guyana, for instance, might be sitting down listening to all the views from all the people. And they may hear the opposition leader and say, hey boy, throw that back in real, boy, throw that back in real. You understand? And I take offense to that. And before I go, Dominic, as an aside, you know that Venezuela has warships?
Yes.
Do you know that there is no way possible, in my mind, that Guyana can really fight with Venezuela? I don't think so.
They don't. They can't.
What I feel is going to have Mr. Maduro take a step back is when the Yankees come in.
Yes.
You understand? Because I know in that case, I know that he he would come up against someone who is equally or even greater than him.
Yes.
You understand?
Mm-hmm.
But anyhow, Mr. Romain, nice program.
Thank you.
Enjoy it. Thank you for the opportunity.
Most welcome.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's why Mr. Maduro would have indicated last night, as it was reported, that he took issue with the Guyanese president in his address to his nation, referencing the U.S. Southern Command standing ready to assist Guyana. And Mr. Maduro is saying, well, how it reached there? We have gone, you bypass the possibility of dialogue under the Geneva Convention and gone straight to military intervention. Mr. Maduro seemed to be incensed about that. That's what he basically telling Irfan Ali, you know what you want to be talking gun talk, being reached there? No. Mr. Maduro has also, as I said, instructed energy companies in Venezuela to start issuing licenses and concessions for drilling for oil and gas in the Essequibo region. But we know, again, that cannot happen. This is not something that can happen overnight. And I doubt it is going to happen because Venezuela's energy companies do not have the financial resources and wherewithal to engage in any significant exploitation efforts, because it takes money to drill a well, and they don't have that money, which is why they are now entertaining companies like Shell and BP and others for the various exploits in Venezuela. And Venezuela is home to the world's largest oil reserves. So they still have acreage on the Venezuelan mainland that has not yet been exploited. So why would you bypass that to go to the Essequibo region when you have oil and gas home that is just still under the ground? No energy company is going to commit their resources to go into the Essequibo region to drill oil and gas for Venezuela unless this thing is settled once and for all through the legitimate channels of the ICJ and others. So you feel Shell and BP and these companies, Dotish and Exxon and whatnot, to take chain up. They say, well, yeah, well, Venezuela gave us a concession, are we going to do that? Exxon is not going to risk its current relationship with the Guyanese government, right? I read an article a couple of days ago where Exxon would have gotten some $21 billion in revenues from exploitation of oil and gas, as opposed to the Guyanese government, which got $3 billion in the same period. So right now, Exxon milking Guyana. They milking Guyana. The Guyanese government, according to Glenn Lal, saying, well, there's nothing we could do. You know, we can't renegotiate the contract, so we have to wait until these contracts run out and so on. And in the meantime, Exxon having a time, having a ball. Yeah, they enjoying the spoils of Guyana's oil wealth. So they're not going to risk to say, well, all right, well, let's see what we could get from Venezuela with respect to concessions for the Essequibo region and risk their relationship and what they could do now and what they're getting now from what currently exists between them and the government of Guyana. So no energy company, unless that is addressed from the right channels, is going to take and look for any concessions from Venezuela, to go in that disputed territory and face sanctions from the US. Good morning, Your Excellency.
Good morning, sir.
Morning.
There's something I've been observing. I don't know if anybody or you have observed it.
Mm-hmm.
On TV6, that's the station I look at.
Right.
Every time they're showing Maduro, they're showing Trinidad flag behind.
Uh-huh.
You notice that?
I have not, but I would look for it now.
Yes, I still shot of Maduro, like he was signing papers.
Mm.
I think that was when he came here under the Cessna.
Right.
They just keep showing the Trinidad flag behind him, so I think they just sending messages or something. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I observed that recently for the past 2 days or 3 days. I've been showing that they keep showing that picture with the flag. So
right.
I don't know if they're trying to send messages easily. But everything is cool in the Republic. Rain is falling.
Excellent.
Morning.
Good morning, First Lady. How are you?
I'm good. I'm going to send you my latest piece I finished a couple of nights ago.
Oh, excellent.
Private commission though, but I'll send it to you.
Nice. I look forward to it.
Excellent.
I wouldn't know that.
Then say it.
Nice. Thank you. Right. Let me see here. So I'm seeing here someone is saying, Delight One is saying Maduro stated that the Essequibo is going to be a national park, which means that no one can do any mining for gold and diamonds. Right. All right. But at the same token, he is now giving instructions to issue concessions for mining, well, for oil and gas there. So we'll see how that goes. Hello, good morning. Hello? Hello?
Morning, Dominic.
Morning, sir.
How are you?
I am good, and yourself?
Not too bad.
Nice.
Morning to your listeners and callers.
Welcome.
Dominic,
yes,
who is the chairman of CARICOM?
The chairman of CARICOM right now is the Prime Minister of Dominica.
How come the opposition is not asking for a statement from the chairman of CARICOM?
That's a good question.
They want Dr. Rowley to usurp the authority of the chairman of CARICOM?
It seems so, yes.
Well, there is information from one of Kamala Bissessa's best friends, Ovashituari Rupnarain, that they did a sit-down interview with Kamala Bissessa.
Is that right?
And it will be aired tomorrow morning on TV6.
Uh-huh.
Now listen to me. That was done earlier this week. Guess where?
Where is that?
In her penal office, constituency office, opposite the penal DB market.
Uh-huh.
Not in the opposition leader's official office.
Right.
So they come down from town and going to look for the leader of the opposition. They couldn't air it this morning because you see they have to edit it in such a way to make her look good. So they will take out certain things that they don't feel is necessary for the public to hear. And of course, she's going to double down on what she indicated on Monday.
Right.
So that is what. So everybody look forward to that interview on TV6 tomorrow by Obashi and the honorable opposition leader. After they would have edited that sit-down conversation. You understand? So they're going quite down penal to look for her. You know, but I had to call and make sure she was available and wherever.
Right.
And that is the state that she cannot take questions and answer, you know, without being prompted or being, you know, it being edited for all of the world to see. Right? That's why she reads from a script every Monday night into her Monday forum. So therefore, look for it because this is her opportunity, to, as I said before, to double down on what she said on Monday as far as Dr. Rowley and the government and the Maduro and so on is concerned, because she's setting up a window of gaslighting between Trinidad and Tobago and Maduro.
Yes.
And a sense of Dr. Rowley, not Trinidad and Tobago, but Dr. Rowley don't like supporting all you in Guyana, Irfan Ali. It's not Trinidad and Tobago. We behind you. We. Yeah, but Dr. Rowley, we are not behind you.
He only studying dragon gas.
Yes. So he jet off to London. It was already set up by the Pussycat of Oropuch on Monday night.
Yes.
You understand? So it's just a matter of putting all the cards on the table and lining up all your ducks to indicate that it's Dr. Rowley and nothing to say.
Yes.
You understand? So she's not looking at it from a CARICOM perspective because she don't care about CARICOM. She care about the UNC.
Correct.
Understand that? People have to understand that that even though when she speaks, and then this is going to go on the World Wide Web, what is being said out of Trinidad and Tobago, they mightn't say out of Kamala Posabisesa and the UNC. They will say what is being said outside of Trinidad and Tobago. And Dr. Rowley has to be mindful of that. While I know he's putting all his efforts in this, the signing of this agreement, which will do well for Trinidad and Tobago. Right? But Kevin Ramnarai don't care about that.
Nah.
Because Kevin Ramnarai and Kamala Posabisesa, people must remember something, eh? If they were still in power today, all now so we will not be receiving any money from the upstream oil companies, because remember, they had made an agreement with them not to give us any royalties or anything at all until after 2024. So all now so would have been in the throes of the who? The IMF. Trinidad and Tobago. This is we country. We have to seek our interests. Even with all of the outlying things, we have to seek our interests. And there are people who are going to try to mess it up in their own interest to save their friends and to thief.
Yep.
And we have to understand that. So when Sister Jenny says, hey, your vote is more important, with all the talk we're talking, do not underestimate that power that you have. Don't play lazy. Half hour out of your day, out of the last 5 years, not going to kill you. Rain, don't let rain stop it. We are accustomed to rain. We are accustomed to the sun. We know what we have to do. Because while Ramnarayan wanted to say that this signing is no big thing, he will never understand. Because he could not negotiate with the downstreamers. Look at how long the downstreamers were begging him.
Yep.
But they could not negotiate. They didn't know how to begin. So all the letters that were coming to them, we never heard about it, Dominic. And if, as I said, keep saying, if they were still in power in 2015 to now, we wouldn't have known anything. And then we'd be saying, well, look at that. The government trying, but we're in trouble.
Yes.
This is business. These multinationals don't care to stay here. They will pack up and go. Look at Espat. He wasn't getting what he wanted. What did he do? He threw everybody on the breadline. He packed up and he left. And we have to be mindful of these things. It's not that we have them, they have us.
Yes.
And we have to negotiate with them for the betterment of our country. But as my father used to say, you have to ease your hand out of the lion mouth. Don't play bad. And this is what Kamala Posabisesa and the UNC is attempting to do. To throw cold water on all what is going on. Because they don't want this dragon deal to even see the light of day. And we have to be very, very careful, because what is happening in Guyana and on the Essequibo will or may, it all depends on what happens in the next couple of days and weeks ahead. Because I understand what Maduro is attempting to do, because he has to have an election and he wants to get the people on his side. Yes. I understand that. But at the end of the day, we have to be very mindful that he may be usurping the authority of the International Criminal Court of Justice. We have to understand that. So there are a lot of pros and cons where this is involved. Right? We have to watch it, and we have to make sure that we know exactly what we are doing.
Yes.
So Dominic, I want to thank you very much. Have a great day. Have a great weekend.
You too.
Hope to hear you on Sunday.
Indeed.
Right.
Right. So I recall there was one other thing I wanted to touch on now that I remember. And I don't know if it is a story that might have missed the attention of folks, but I saw it last night. A development yesterday, and I'm pretty sure the UNC is not going to talk about it. The case involving the missing file, with the 9 men who were accused, who were acquitted of the murder of Vendra Naipaul Coolman, who sued the state for wrongful arrest, for malicious prosecution, and also for the inhumane conditions that they had to suffer in the prisons while they were there. They were there most of the time while they were there. The man who said jail and make the right thing, who is now the attorney, he was attorney general at the time, and he had no problems with the prison conditions that they suffered. In fact, he would have supported. Just now, give me one. All right, 1 sec, Eric. Hold on. I saw yesterday the court delivered a judgment where the judge set aside the default judgment for the 20 million, right? And the judge said that if the claim or so was not filed properly served properly on the Office of the Attorney General, meaning the judge agreed with the circumstances with respect to the missing file and so on, and found in favor of the Office of the Attorney General, and so would have set aside that judgment. So the 20 million they was making fuss about, opposition and the supporters, Limo, he incompetent, and the Attorney General is this, according to Kamala the other night, he's attorney calling the man a dunce and all this kind of thing. Well, he won that matter, and it has now been set aside. So the 20 million they were awarded, the court say, scratch that. Right? No $20 million for it. We find, based on the submissions from the Office of the Attorney General, that yes, in fact, it was not properly served in the Office of the Attorney General. Whatever it is went on there and so on, with the missing file and whatnot, we find for the Office of the Attorney General. Of course, immediately, and Mr. Ram Logan and others would have indicated that they intend to appeal the matter. But I make the point, after all the thing the UNC say about the Attorney General is a dunce, and this government this, and this government that, and Paris and whatnot, and all of that, the court come and say, here, what we setting aside, no more 20 million. You feel they're going to talk about that? You think they're going to say, hey, look, Limo, as she likes to call him, Limo win a case? All the hasikara they make about that, 20 million, and it costing taxpayers 20 million, and this and that and whatnot. They will say, don't put it past them to say the judge is paying them. The same judge who awarded the money, the same judge, say we setting aside that. I've listened to the submissions from the state, the Office of the Attorney General. I've listened to the submissions from the attorneys for the plaintiffs. I've done that, and I find in favor of the Office of the Attorney General. They ain't gonna talk about that. I bet you, where the supporters, all of them who was running them out and talking about, thing man, but they costing taxpayers 20 something million, forgetting the fact that their former Attorney General suing for 3.5 for 32 million. And the court say 20. No talk about that, I bet all you. But when it looked like it was in their favor, they're running them out. They have plenty to say. But just like the 789 million in housing that can be found, finger on the lip, them out of a zip. Eric.
Good morning. Good morning,
sir.
Good morning to all. First of all, let me just make a correction to the last caller who said honorable. Kamala Persaud said not honorable. She's a dishonorable leader. Right? She's very dishonorable. She's not worthy of that title. Right? Because for you to be a former prime minister of a country, right, that you held for 5 years, 3 months, and 14 days, right, to come now to sully, denigrate, and try to tarnish and embarrass the image of the country that you once held as prime minister. That is worse than that. Don't eat in shame. You understand? All this dragon deal and all these signage that Dr. Roddy doing to betterment the country, it is hot-bugging the psyche of the United National Congress. You know why? Because they realize as much as Dr. Roddy and Mr. Young going to betterment the agreement between companies and the country, the hopes of the UNC winning the election in 2 years, in a year and a half time, it's slipping away by the minute. You understand? Because the people don't realize that the UNC have no plan, no option, no. What's that? It's a disgrace, Dominic, to hear these people talk every single time about this country. He'll speak it to the worst. You understand? Look when God bless his soul. When Manning had the vision for this country in 2020 to bring that first one started, they chopped that down, they mash up all the programs, all the policies that Manning had to better this country. You think, Dominic, if the UNC could have carried on with the signage of the rapid rail system, the country would have been in a better position with transportation and traffic is concerned. Or they come, or they scrap that, or they scrap the smelter, or they scrap the East Forest development project. But I see that's still going ahead. You understand? When Manning went to the people in East Forest and tell them, hey, I want to develop all the area. The UNC went in there with Mulilal and the we call them. I say, oh, you know, because the Manning what they gave the 1%, the area, I think all it was the 5 years, 3 months, and 14 days. What all it did to enhance the people's lives in East Forest Spain? All they give them a SOE, lock up over 8,000 black people, right? And then return them, put them in jail, and they will find the evidence after, right? Kamala Prasad, the Sector and United National Congress do not have this country at heart. All them studying is party. And she said it on the platform. It's party before country. If you don't want to like it, the hell was you. You understand? That is Kamala Prasad business, that statement. So all that's going on now, right? And to the last caller would have said, they're trying to sully him and the agreement between Venezuela and Trinidad and Tobago and make it look as if Dr. Rowley don't care about the Guyanese and the Guyana government in relation to this Essequibo fiasco that's going on right now. So that is what the UNC now happen on, right? And the year and a half to come, because they realize the crime talk gone under the bridge.
Yep.
The murder toll and the crime and the home invasion and this and the suffering, all are going under the bridge now. Now is the fiasco between Trinidad and Venezuela with Guyana. So they wanted to let Trinidad go get involved in it. So they will say, well, yes, we supporting Guyana because Guyana is part of we. Yeah, that's how UNC, Dominic, this is how UNC, the East Indian diaspora operate. You remember, it had a saying, they wanted to make Trinidad, Guyana, and Suriname as a diaspora in the Caribbean. Because you know, nowhere else in the Caribbean, that BS going to take place. Only in Trinidad. Because in Barbados, she can't put there and do that BS. Yeah, that's what I'm showing you. So that is the whole trend they pushing, that East Indian diaspora, Trinidad, Guyana, and Suriname, that area. You understand? So they're trying to make it look that Dr. Roddy only concerned about Maduro and the Maduro government and the signage of the Jagan deal. That's more important than Guyana. And as the last caller said, why the hell Canada didn't write Dr. Roosevelt Skerritt, the chairman of CARICOM? She ain't doing that. So you know why? You said when you was prime minister that Trinidad and Tobago is not an ATM machine. So don't feel difficult when you're saying, no. Anytime, Dominic, UNC win election in this country, no country in the Caribbean going to deal with Trinidad and Tobago. No country would not want to have any dealing with Trinidad and Tobago once that woman called Kamala Sushila Prasad says that. We know she would be prime minister again. You understand? But anytime UNC becomes the next government, which we know, and I am certain that right-thinking citizens of this country would not put that government or that party back into office. Because after that 5 years, 14 months and 3 months and 14 days, for 10 years later, 14 years later, I should say, the country still reeling 14 years later, and people are understanding and only telling me that US is the viable option to the PNM. Now, Dominic, I ain't saying the PNM party have problems. No. The PNM might have challenges, they try to make things right. But UNC, yeah? UNC come to do what? After already tarnish and change all the ministries in this country, every single ministry, them change in this country. You understand? To come to tell me what? Eh? This next canal count. Do the double and coffee. Oh, the BP and Shell is what? It's some maybe put on Facebook. Right? About the deal with Minister Young sign up on that with Shell and BP. Like that putting them bad, Dominic.
It is.
That signage bugging the psyche because they realized when they was there, they did not know how to negotiate or how to have a discussion or agreement. You understand? Because all they're talking about things. The mayor would never ask the Minister of Energy any question. They just go to ask Kelvin Ramnaran as if he's the last Minister of Energy. You understand? And this is my problem. The media don't ask the current administration questions about what's going on in the country. They're going to ask the opposition. So we don't know that we always stand already. And what the last caller said about that with Cabinet Service and the interview, it is factual that I would make it my duty tomorrow morning. And I'm going to tune in to TV6 and I'll be listening and I'll be recording that whole interview. Right? And I will put it up on the page. You understand? Because at the end of the day, the UNC is detrimental to this country. Bad. They are very detrimental. And people have to know that come 2025, is either you want this country to go forward or you want it to go where it was back in 2010. Right? We have an option right now. Those that study all of them talking and thing and about crime and all them things. You do what you have to do. You know what is best for your country. You understand? Don't let come and try to baboos or that misinformation or propaganda. You're big enough, you have sense, go up and look, read, and understand what is going on wrong in Trinidad and the world by extension. You understand? Kamlan them don't have Trinidad and Tobago at heart. Right? And people are pleading with all the 2025 is a fair and mere 14 months away, 14 to 15 months of the election. You understand? All you do what you have to do the right thing for you and your children and the country. Dominic, good program. I love for listening.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Hello, good morning. Hello?
Yes, hello.
Yes, sir. Morning.
Yes, good morning, Dominic. Yeah, this is the live one in the chat room.
Welcome.
Yeah, we've been trying to get through to you. I've been trying to get your number. I was wondering if you're paying attention to the chat room.
Yes, I am.
Yes, well, here's the situation. Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago. I was listening to one of the most popular stations in Guyana, and we heard Kamala came over, and what she said. Here's the situation. A lot of Guyanese, especially in the situation that's plaguing the country today with Venezuela, they were apprehensive as far as Rowley was concerned because they felt that Rowley wasn't being forceful enough in his support towards Guyana. But I cautioned them. I said, listen to me. I said, Rowley has interest with the dragon deal with Venezuela, with Maduro. So he has to be very careful of what he says.
Yes.
Now here comes Kamala Harris. Not Kamala Harris, forgive me. Kamala Besessa. And what she said, my mouth was actually open because I was shocked. But a lot of Guyanese, listened to her and they were happy with her. They said, oh, at least, we have, Kamala's support. Right. I'm like, listen to me, people, don't be stupid. Don't be fooled. This woman is the opposition leader of Trinidad and Tobago. She could not send troops. She could not send money. She could not sit down and converse with Maduro. She could not do anything. What this woman is looking to do is to get the Guyanese that are living in Trinidad to vote for her so the UNC could get back into power. But here's the situation. Sometimes when you speak sense into people's head, like they said, whomever speaks the truth, the most hated person is the person that speaks the truth. But I'm going to speak truth forever. Our opposition leader, Norton, cannot say anything regarding Trinidad. He doesn't have the power.
Right.
Just like Kamala Prasad, she doesn't have the power. So this woman is speaking, but what she did is to take the legs out from Rowley, because you're supposed to speak with one head, because this is a serious situation that we face in Guyana.
Right.
A prime minister has to be measured in his speech because everything he says is calculated and it has repercussions. This woman spoke loosely. I understand. So I explained to some guys, I said, listen to me. I have a lot of experience with the Trinidadians. I was Georgia Station. I know exactly. As a matter of fact, this woman is even called Cam Liar.
Yes.
In Trinidad and Tobago. Because a lot of Guyanese, based on the situation that we in, is like a drowning man is looking to clutch at a straw. But I said, that's all you can't live on hopes, or you can't live on words. Kamala doesn't have any weight. She doesn't have any power. This woman has ulterior motives. But you know what? But most of my call was, I wanted to tell you, you said a few things concerning Maduro that wasn't really true. People have to understand, despite what I live in the United States of America. I'm Guyanese by birth, but I live in the United States of America for years. Maduro is more popular in Venezuela than a lot of people give him credit. He's not doing what he's doing to Guyana to bolster election results. No, he's not. We have to look at geopolitics. Right now in South America, you have 3 countries. You have Colombia, for example, as leftist, as socialist. Never in the history of Colombia, they've always had right-wing leaders. This is the first time in Colombian history they have a socialist government, a leftist government. Brazil doesn't have Bolsonaro anymore. They have Lula, and now you have Venezuela with Maduro. Everything is rife for Maduro to make his move. The United States of America spread too thin. We're involved with Ukraine, Russia. We're involved with Israel, Palestine. We're involved with South Korea, North Korea. We're involved with China and Taiwan. We don't have the manpower. Right now, we're looking to send billions of dollars of aid to Ukraine and to Israel. We do not have billions of dollars to shed blood in this region. The Southern Command is very weak right now. And Maduro is looking at all these things because why? Right now in Venezuela, they have the Iranians. They have about 5,000 Iranian troops stationed in Venezuela that a lot of people don't understand. They have the Russians in Venezuela, and they have the Chinese in Venezuela. Due to the fact of the Middle East conflict, America understands that Iran could close the Persian Gulf and the Strait of Hormuz. That's going to lock 60% of the oil. It's going to choke 60% of the oil off of the world's market. So America had no choice but to come right back to Venezuela, to Maduro, and reduce a lot of sanctions. So what happened with that is that Maduro, a lot of businessmen ran into Venezuela. So Maduro right now looks at the board and he realizes America is not going to do anything if he physically moves troops into Guyana. So he's making his move right now. He had a 9-point plan. One of the plans is that he's going to take 62,000 square miles, the size of England, and 4 Jamaicas. He's going to turn it into a national park because he doesn't want anyone mining, anyone digging in the ground in Guyana. Okay, he's giving him 3 months. He's given ExxonMobil, that's currently drilling, 3 months. After 3 months, they have to renegotiate. You said something about Maduro doesn't have the expertise or the know-how or the technology to drill. He's not looking to drill. He has the Russians and the Chinese in his country already. They have the technology already. But what he's looking to do is to renegotiate the foolishness that we did, especially with Exxon. He's looking to renegotiate with them to get a better deal out of ExxonMobil. What he's doing, he's going to divide up Guyana or the Essequibo region into two. PDVSA, which is the Venezuelan National Oil Company, and then he has another company that's called CDH. CDH, the latter is going to be involved with the mines, with minerals, gold, diamond, bauxite, rare earth materials. Everything is found in Guyana. They're going to take care of that. And PDVSA, PDVSA, they're going to be concerned with the oil. These people have been planning for years. They have everything laid out already. A major general by the name of Cabello, he's going to be responsible for this new Guyana-Essequibo region. I mean, the stuff that yesterday in the parliament, they just passed an organic law, which means like court systems and everything is going to be set up in Guyana. We're in bad shape right now. Collectively, CARICOM headquarters is located in Guyana, and I fought my government too. I fought them because here we are, we the head of CARICOM, and we've never had an emergency meeting with CARICOM. Every single day at the United Nations, due to the Middle East conflict, there are meetings every single day with the UN General Council and also the Security Council every single day. But we haven't had a collective head as far as CARICOM leaders. Guyana pretty much is walking the plank. And we cannot do it. Venezuela is a superpower. Venezuela has a standing military of 340,000 men. If you get past that, they have a National Guard of over 80,000 men. If you get past that, they have a militia of 3 million people. And if everything is over, they have 100,000 AK-47s that they would just throw out to their supporters. Venezuela is not a joke, and America right now does not want to tangle with Venezuela. It's a serious threat, especially with the Chinese, the Russians, and the Iranians that's going to give them the satellites and everything. America does not want to fight right now with Venezuela. So pretty much the only thing we could clamor on is diplomacy. Diplomacy. But Maduro already stated emphatically that he does not recognize the International Court of Justice. Guyana is in a serious crisis right now. I'm just making a CARICOM call to my CARICOM brothers and sisters. Stand with Guyana, stand with Guyana. But honestly speaking, as a Guyanese, I really feel this Essequibo region is going to be lost to Venezuela. And the whole world is going to watch because the Russia-Ukraine crisis, Russia is going to walk away with 25% of Ukraine. And Venezuela is going to walk away with 2/3 of our country. 62,000 square miles. Just to put it into perspective again, it's the size of England plus 3 Jamaicas combined. I have a lot more to say, but I got to run now, Dominic. Keep tracking, but don't underplay Venezuela and don't underplay Maduro. The opposition leaders in Venezuela, they're sparse. Leopoldo Lopez lives in Spain. Juan Guaido doesn't have any power. Capriles doesn't have any power. Machado doesn't have any power. If they go head to head against Maduro, they're going to lose because the Venezuelan military and the people are Chavistas. People don't understand. We want to listen CNN, MSNBC, BBC, and they're telling lies about what's happening. And I'm being honest, even though I'm a Guyanese, I don't like the situation that's happening, but I have to speak with facts because that's the only way you could counter what's happening. I cannot believe in lies. Maduro is more powerful than people think, and he's more popular than people give him credit for. But anyway, I gotta run, Dominic, and I appreciate your time. And Trinidad and Tobago, have a good day.
Peace out. So much. Thank you. Right. So we got a lot there. We'll agree to disagree on a couple things. So I, as I said, based on what Maduro would have said, yesterday or last night in response to Irfan Ali that he doesn't see why Irfan Ali had to be talking conflict with the US. What are you talking about? Why you had to talk about US Southern Command and all of that? Let's dialogue. So he's still open to dialogue, as he said, based on the Geneva Convention. So he's still, notwithstanding his posturing, he's still saying to them, look, we could talk, see what we could work out, but it's left to be seen how that is going to play itself out. I think there would be some sort of, if it is he goes that way, there would be some sort of intervention. While mention would have been made about yes, Ukraine war and Israel, it's interesting to note I don't believe the US has boots on the ground in either of those two wars. What they've been doing is providing financial support, as Joe Biden has wanted $100 billion to be committed to those two wars, and the US Congress, as we know, has not made that commitment as yet. With respect to the government shutdown, the potential government shutdown in the US government, while the Congress would have been able to come to an agreement with respect to funding the government into early next year, they did not treat with the issue of funding for Ukraine and that Ukraine war and that Israel-Palestine war. And I saw last night where the Ukraine president, Zelensky, is saying that he is confident that they could win the war, notwithstanding the fact that they are yet to receive the latest round of aid from the US. So the Congress has not approved that, and I don't think they're going to treat with that going into the US break until sometime next year. So the Ukrainians had to fight up until such time as that matter comes back up on the drawing board. So let me see, we have here, hello, good morning. Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, morning.
Good morning, sir.
Greetings.
So I trust that your trip to America was fruitful.
It was.
Very good. I see you have some new callers, and it's very uninteresting. But anyway, the situation with the UNC, some call them an apartheid administration.
Yes, I heard that.
You've heard that?
Yes.
Yes. Well, I believe they have somebody as a point. Those who are having that discourse.
Yes.
They have a strong point. My only intervention there is to say to all those who have stained their finger and placed that apartheid administration government, the Pandey and that lady, I can't say her name, and put them in power. They need to do like David Rudder and join hands and sing out loudly, Trinbago, we are sorry. You see what they have done to this country and will continue to so do. That's all I would say about that.
Right.
With regards to the situation with law and order as it stands in Trinidad and Tobago, I've heard quite a few on the talk shops coming to the point that I've had what is happening with law and order. What do we have to do next? Who is in charge? I have a good question. I have the answer. But who is responsible for making the decisions to charge those who broke the law, whether it's white collar crime or other? Who is charged with that responsibility? Some say it's the police service.
and the Commissioner of Police through the DPP and others. And you know what I think about him. So my question to you, instead of me trying to give my opinion, my question to you is simply, who is charged with the responsibility of taking care of law and order and justice in Trinidad and especially Tobago? I thank you for all your time, Dominic. I wait for your response.
Thank you, sir. See here, what's the time there? I could probably take a couple more quick ones. Right. All right. Hello, good morning. Hello.
Hey, morning, my brother.
Morning, sir.
Well, listen, that call from Guyanese gentleman there was eye-opening. So the thing about it is that he along the line that I've been my friends for a long time.
Right.
In terms of once again his political perspective. Venezuela has always been long game,
Yes.
In the way by move was made by Maduro is what currently happening domestically in America. And its commitment to Ukraine and then now to Israel. And the fact, when you watch how the reports by Russia since the conflict started from October the 7th,
right.
I believe that he is confident that he will have their back on to make that move. And also knowing that among the CARICOM region, because of the Petro-Caribe deal,
yes,
and the fact that help to come to stop that might come from Brazil. I am thinking that Brazil is sending forces purchase against their in the region, in that tri-border region there. And it may not necessarily to defend the Guyanese sovereignty or even to step in on their behalf. Because let's face it, being the only English in South America, Guyana is basically an island on it. And I am saying that the whole Ibero Latino connection holds more sway any guilty or friendly agreement that Brazil may have with Guyana. I mean, I may be wrong, but as I feel, I don't think that the Latino partners will want to really have any serious conversation. So let's take the Venezuelan move over to the Brazilian border. I think we'll see that. And Venezuela, Maduro is quite aware that with the military as he has, nobody in the Caribbean, even the Caribbean would just try to set up a force or some kind of thing. It not could be done without the intervention of one of the great powers, as we had to call them, right? Either England, France, or USA. Even Canada will. But Canada don't really have any naval assets or assets in the region. So it's basically USA, Southern Command, coming from Puerto Rico, Florida, Alabama, Mississippi, and that kind of place. You know what I mean? And you know, people are thinking this thing is not true. This thing is not true. This thing is serious.
Yes.
This thing is serious. And I mean, if pursued by the opposition, we're doing all our blowhard. If on anything, that's what I'm saying. But I would just hope, Dominic, that diplomacy, as much as we might hope that it could do something, that it could really work. But I am that what Maduro has made already appointed a governor, removed a gentleman highlighted in terms of parliamentary acts and so on.
Yes.
That is business. That is tangible evidence to show a listen. I am going to do what I need to do. And it's up for the international community or whoever was Guyana's aid. And I am thinking that the missing helicopter has been the first salvo in any action.
Yes.
We to see but tangible evidence, but I think that is what would have happened because the last few weeks had already put military assets in the region with the anticipation that the result of the referendum and it's just a go.
Right.
In hard. So I mean I didn't think that in our lifetime so close to us we would see military action, but let's hope that it could be a Merry Christmas, but I'm seeing being, you know? What we could do is stand by my brother and hope that diplomacy could work.
Yes.
Take care, Dom. Have a good day, and everybody be safe on the Black Rapids.
You too.
Cats and dogs out there.
Thank you, sir. Same to you.
Yeah, great show as usual, man.
Thanks much. Yeah, so I think diplomacy will notwithstanding what Mr. Maduro is saying, because Stuart would have told us on numerous occasions that whenever he goes to Venezuela to hold discussions with respect to the drug and gas deal, he says as soon as you come out the negotiating room, you have a number of other international entities waiting for their turn to go into the negotiating room to have their say. So again, drilling, mining, exploitation for oil and gas is a very expensive undertaking, which is why we engage Shell and BP and these guys. We don't have the financial wherewithal to do it. And that is why Mr. Maduro is talking about concessions and they like giving licenses. But you still have to do bid rounds because it's not just say somebody come and say, well, I want to. The normal process is that you open up the acreage and you set aside blocks and people come and they bid based on what they think is the prospect. So it's not just you say, well, okay, go and drill. They will say, well, where are you telling us to go? We don't think that is where the oil is. So we want to go. You need to send us where the oil is. Because if we go down and spend 100 million, 150 million to drill, if it come up dry, what we get it? We lose that money. So, the process, it is not as simple as it may seem that you could just give out licenses just so and go and drill wherever it is that you want to, right? And therefore, these companies would also respect the sovereignty of Guyana, that unless and until this matter is settled by the ICJ or some other recognized body, companies like BP and Shell and so on are not going to get into that conflict and run the risk of having to face sanctions in other countries where it is that they operate that may have issue with this whole conflict. So they have to tread lightly. So where Venezuela currently has authority to give licenses, they would deal with that as they are doing now. Because all these people, as Stuart has been seeing, waiting to go into the negotiation, there has been no talk about Essequibo. They're not there for that. They're about Venezuelan mainland, acreages that are available. We want to come here. This is what we're discussing. And deep water. Ghana, that is a hot bad issue. We ain't want to get involved in that. We spend our money and the next thing, this thing goes south and we lose that. So let me see who we have here. Hello, good morning.
Dominic.
Oh, Lord. Morning, sir.
What's going on?
All is well. I see you're still outside.
Yes, Dominic.
You're spending Christmas outside? You're spending Christmas outside?
I try hard to come.
Okay.
Dominic.
Yes, sir.
Did I ever tell you about 2 years ago, Russia landed 2 jets with nuclear weapons in Venezuela?
I think I recall you may have mentioned something to that effect.
Yeah, I think I told you about that already. Right in the backyard, Dominic. You see what is going on now? But I'm watching and I am hoping that things doesn't escalate.
I don't think it will.
We will keep in touch, Dominic.
Thank you, sir.
I will be with you.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, I don't think it will. As I said, Maduro still talking. Well, he wasn't the first one to mention military intervention. In fact, that came from President of Ghana, and I believe Ghana is supposed to be joining the UN, supposed to become a member of the UN Security Council soon. I think there's a rotation process, and they are up next to sit on the UN Security Council. So certainly that we can't discount the impact that too would have as a member of the United Nations Security Council. There would of course be concern for one of their members. I think tomorrow CARICOM has the leadership of CARICOM, the heads of CARICOM have an emergency meeting via Zoom. It was reported last night. So they would be meeting to discuss this latest development and what their position is on it, what statement they are going to put out. But as one caller would have spoken about, the Petro-Caribbean, I don't know if that is still in force. But we must recognize that the Venezuelan economy is in the situation that it is in. Again, the impact of US sanctions. Energy companies, which they depend on to bring in the money, the resources. Because remember, Venezuela right now, because of these sanctions, they are not able to generate the type of revenue that they need to, which is why they're facing the and they need these foreign energy companies to come in and bring their capital. So that is something they need to be concerned about, whether or not these energy companies, I believe, they don't want nothing to do with that until that is settled, satisfactory. Hello, good morning.
Good morning to you, Dominic.
Morning.
Are you hearing me clearly?
Loud and clear.
I'm getting up at sort of this question, but I will go ahead and speak.
Yes.
Kamala seems to have a whole artillery down in her family's home.
It seems
up
so.
near to that helicopter that used to take her to work. She seems to have a lot of tanks and so on. All of a sudden, she has this persona of being powerful, like Trump, that feel twice impeached ex-president. She, load up the matic and, she is telling her cult followers that, I have the power, I have the will, put you back. Because, Rowley weak.
Yes.
He's about speaking, but I'm about action.
Right.
Kamala failed to realize that we are dot on the map. So I hope that the listening public understands that Kamala is not thinking about us, I heard her said that she's talking about the people of Trinidad, certainly not me. You understand?
Yes.
And I hope that people is listening and see where Kamala is heading and where she wants to put us.
Yes.
It's all about health and poverty. Dominic, have a great day.
Thank you. You too. All right. Right. So I see Delight. Yes, I know Ghana is not a member yet. It says here 5 countries, including Ghana, and this was in June, have been elected as non-permanent members of the United Nations Security Council following a vote in the General Assembly on Tuesday. Guyana will join the premier body for maintaining international peace and security starting in January 2024 and serve for a 2-year period. They join alongside Algeria, the Republic of Korea, Sierra Leone, Slovenia, all of whom were among 6 countries vying for 5 non-permanent seats around the council's horseshoe-shaped table that will become vacant at the end of the year. So the Security Council is composed of 15 countries, 5 of which, China, France, Russia, UK, and the US, are permanent members, granting them the right to veto any resolution or decision. And the 10 non-permanent members are elected by the General Assembly, which comprises all 193 UN member states. Voting is conducted by secret ballot, and candidates must have a 2/3 majority or 128 votes. Overall, 192 countries voted to fill 3 council seats allocated to Africa, Asia Pacific, and 1 each from the Eastern European and Latin America and the Caribbean. Slovenia beat Belarus in the race for Eastern Europe, receiving 153 votes versus 38, while Algeria, Guyana, Sierra Leone, and the Republic of Korea all ran unopposed. So effective, so they would be, so what this is saying, this is from Reuters, yeah? This was in, it was from the United Nations website, actually. So effective next month, January 2024, Guyana will serve a 2-year period as a non-permanent member of the UN Security Council. So that too, I guess, is going to factor, because as it says here, the purpose of the Security Council is to maintain peace. And stability. Interesting. So I guess we'll see how that, and what's his name? Mr. Ali did reference that. President Ali did reference that in his speech. So interesting times ahead. Yes, the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, the government, is between a rock and a hard place, having to, because, I mean, they have good relations with Guyana and good relations with Venezuela. And depending on how Mr. Maduro proceeds, there would be calls, sustained calls from the opposition in Trinidad and Tobago for the Prime Minister to make a definitive position, as they did, to denounce Mr. Maduro. But the Prime Minister, as Delight would have mentioned to us, needs to tread carefully in terms of what he says, because depending on how this conflict goes and is resolved, we could end up in a situation where we could be left in the lurch, right? So, yeah. So, folks, thank you all so much for joining me this morning. It is 9 o'clock. I said I wasn't going to run this long, but I did. For all those of you who called in and shared your thoughts, we are always grateful for the information that you've shared with us, and for the contribution again. Thank you so much, Delight, for calling in, and feel free to do so again. He's saying that Maduro is still leaving it open to dialogue. That is correct, and he also hopes that Guyana takes that road, as do we all. I think President Ali needs to, let us not cast aside. So thank you all so much. The black carpet. It's raining outside today, and I think it's going to be a rainy day. If it's raining where you are, please take your time. We want you all to be around for as long as possible. Yeah, and this is the Christmas season. Just a few days left before Christmas. You don't want your family grieving when they should be celebrating, right? So take all your time. No need to be rushing. Morning, Nicole Caesar. Most welcome. Annette McConney, good morning. Angela, Marcel Figaro, Marva James, morning to all of you guys. Candice Joseph, morning. Anon, Althea, Alain, Patricia McKenzie, all of you guys, thank you all so much. So I will take my leave at this time, and folks, we will continue the discussion on Sunday. We'll see what developments take place between now and then. Because CARICOM, as I said, is having the emergency meeting tomorrow. So reporting on that, and we will see what takes place from then. Merle Durant, Merle says she's in Trinidad. Condolences to you and your family, Merle. Yeah, and enjoy the time that you are here. So folks, Sunday it is, God's willing. Have a good day.